Morning, everybody. Welcome to Smack the Markets midweek market update live trading stream. So as usual, if I can ask you to take a few moments just to read through the risk disclaimer here and make sure that you're comfortable with it. In brief, what we say all the time is that we're not licensed to be able to give advice. The markets and the sort of setups that we're looking at in the markets are purely cited for educational purposes only, and they're our opinions only. So please make sure that you understand the risks in trading before implementing any trading decision, and seek advice, of course, as necessary. Good morning, Michael. So let's wait for people to join, and we'll start to take a look at what's going on in the markets this morning. Had quite a bit of movement just coming through the markets, haven't we? It's all related to the US dollar. We've just had a fairly big move in the US dollar, obviously weakening, and that's pushed a lot of the euros, sterling markets, dollar markets. It's pushed them all around. So we're starting to get a little bit of market momentum coming back in. Morning, Andrew. Morning, Martin. So we've had a bit of change in the strengths and weaknesses of these have been developing this morning. So I've just gone through them, and I mean the predominant themes seem to be dollar weakness, Kiwi weakness as well. I've also got strength in the Swissy, the Euro and Sterling. So some of those common themes that we've been watching for a while. Otherwise, a fairly light day on the schedule, at least morning anyway. So not a great deal coming through this morning. So let's have a look at how the markets fared that we discussed on Monday, and come and have a look at the Dow first of all. Now, we said really with the Dow that the path of least resistance was to the long side. We were looking at this market to continue to grind higher, and looking at key support around the 31,115, which is around this sort of area up here, these previous highs, and also the 31,000 if we saw weakness, which was getting all the way back down here. Now, of course, we've seen continuation of the market to push higher, and again, that's falling in line with the other index markets, and again, sort of pushing to the long side. And again, these markets are expecting a stimulus package, and that's what's sort of fueling them at the moment. But overall, one sort of observation that we can see, I mean, this has had a very, very good run, and even with the sort of the market sort of continuing to grind higher, the sort of strength of momentum, is starting to level off now. So not suggesting that we're going to see any decline anytime soon, but anything that does disappoint is likely to be exacerbated here because of the already the sort of weakening momentum. If anything, arguably, we've got some sort of areas here of potential sort of divergence starting to come in and creep into these markets. So they're always looking looking a little bit on the tentative side, but at the moment they're continuing to push higher. If we have a look, I keep doing that. If we take a look at silver, again, silver, we were looking for silver to be supportive, mainly on the back of gold, because gold has had a nice retracement this week as well. Now, whereas gold has done sort of fairly well, and that sort of moved sort of quite nicely, it sort of got up to the sort of retesting that 1850 area. The structure of gold is still rather much more bearish compared to silver. Silver's looking much more sort of bullish. We can see here that the market sort of kind of really finding support now around that key 26 level, key $26 level, and we're looking for the market here today or here this week to push up through 1826 and looking for that trading window up towards that up towards the sort of 28 sort of price point. So again, if we come down to the lower time frames, we've had some movement on this. It hasn't been particularly sort of easy. We've had the sort of move higher, and I've got this level in here just underneath 28 because it coincides with previous sort of structure, and it's a bit more precise on the futures market, which of course, you know, this is the paper market. The futures market that we trade is the physical. Again, you can see here that the market has price has moved through this sort of trading window up to the high, and then we've seen a sort of a retest of the low here. So again, still bullish on silver. You know, obviously there could be some opportunities here if we see some strength going back up to retest the 28 level, and of course I think the above 28 then sort of puts us into a much sort of freer area. Morning, Patricia. So the other market that we discussed on Monday was the dollar Swiss. In fact, we took a trade on this, and if I mark my levels in on this platform, we had a nice level in here on this market. I haven't got my levels quite in the right sort of place, but the level around 9,000, which was the a couple of levels we had here actually that have been significant to us. Once we got the breakout here, we got this trading window that filled fairly quickly up to the 9,000 price point, and then above 9,000 we were looking for continued strength to the long side. Now again, this was a dollar strength play, and we had the strengths and weakness in alignment for this. We actually caught the pullback here and took a trade around the 9,000 sort of price point. As you can see, the market actually moved in our favor for a period of time before completely reversing here. So overall, on the higher time frames, on the daily, we've had a complete reversal pattern here forming, a sort of heads and shoulders, inverted heads and shoulders, and a break to the high side. The trend here, or the lack of continuation on dollar strength, has been the play that's been developing across the board now. And of course, this trade has now rolled over, and we've probably been better off actually of taking this trade short, but not here, because we would have been taking it trade short in the context of a long trend. But now the market has now sort of taken out some of these significant levels, and dollar plays to the short side are certainly on the cards at the moment. Now this has reversed all the markets, of course, all those long trends, so dollar yen and the euro short trade. So now we're starting to look at markets in the context of euro strength. It's helping sterling, because sterling has been a strong market ever since the turn of the year, and the weakness here in the dollar is certainly helping the sterling markets. And of course, dollar CAD, which is also the $1 market, which is also looking sort of very nice to the short side at the moment. So so we've got quite a lot going on in the markets this morning. So the question is, I'm going to throw it out to you. What markets do you want to take a look at? So you tell me what's close on the watch list, and we'll take a look at those. Fergal's had a sort of a minor emergency, so he's had to sort of pop off to the doctors at the moment, and so he's not with us. We can see some reversals going on in the markets at the moment. So we've got things like dollar CAD is reversing. We're getting a retracement here. So let's have a look at dollar CAD first of all. And if you recall, the reason we like this comes right up to the weekly play here, because we've got a weekly play that's actually now sort of starting to play out, which is sort of quite nice. We've got sort of the weakness in the dollar, which is certainly helping to support this to the short side. And the trends are starting to look rather reasonable on the sort of 4-hour time frame and on the lower to mid time frames. So the sort of thing that we could look at is if we came down to the let's come down to the lower time frames. You can see that we've had a consolidation here for a period of time. The market's just sort of broken through that, and we get some sort of retracement back to this. This is what I'm sort of looking at, seeing if we can build some sort of opportunity around here. So we've certainly got key support around the lows. Let me sort of zoom into this. And I'll throw it from there. So 61 or 50, 61, that's probably on a little bit on the high side. We've actually got a pivot point in here as well. 1.26888. So it's actually coinciding with that sort of 50% fib retracement level. So the market may have just sort of come close enough to have tested that, but so that might have been the move there before the continuation. But this market's starting to look nice for retracements back into opportunity zones. I think this one is certainly one to keep an eye on, primarily because we've still got movement to the short side. Yeah, I think we'll have a look at a few of those sterling markets, Michael. We'll have a look at pound Kiwi as well. So pound dollar that Satar flagged up in the trading room last night, playing out very, very nicely. So that was the I think it was this sort of breakout here on the 15-minute chart, and the market is now sort of moved. I think it was here, wasn't it? The market's sort of moving on very nicely now. So I think a lot on these sterling markets at this moment, it's capturing pullbacks. Let's have a look at our pound. pound Kiwi. So of course, pound Kiwi at the moment, we've got strengths of weakness supporting this too. So the Kiwi's weak, pound is strong. Getting a breakout here of this sort of consolidation on the daily. Let's have a look at what the weekly looks like. So yeah, quite a bit of a turnaround here on the weekly as well. Now, 15-minute chart's looking sort of quite nice. We've actually got a pivot point through here. We haven't got market retracing at the moment, but if it does start to weaken, then we've certainly got sort of room, even if the market moves up a little bit further, we've got room for a very nice rebound setup if price pulls back into this sort of level. Otherwise, all of these sterling markets are looking quite strong at the moment. So that's a nice one, Michael. Liking the look of that. And I also had the, if we have a look at another one is the pound CAD. It's a little bit similar to the pound Kiwi in the fact that from a bigger picture structure, the market is actually breaking out of a longer term sideways range here, as we can see on the weekly chart. We come to the lower time frames, we can start to see on the daily that the market is now, we're starting to get the context of trends here. It's not the cleanest, is it? We've got a higher low, higher low, higher low. The market testing the lows, but really finding no sort of traction down here, and clearly the market nicely above this 175 level now. So again, starting to break out. In fact, do you remember we were looking for a setup in here on the daily chart, but this was obviously sort of far too big. That was one of the swing plays. So again, now starting to look sort of quite nice here on the mid time frames. I think, when we start to come down to these lower time frames, we can start to look for some opportunities here. The market's not very, it's not extended at the moment. There's all this sort of fair value around where price is. So it's just breaking out of a consolidation. It's breaking out of a range, as opposed to some of the other sterling markets, which are looking a little bit on the stretch side at the moment. So the only thing, I don't see a setup on this. So what we might see developing here, let's just look at the sort of thing. I think if we start to get above these highs, maybe some sort of pullback into it, start to look a bit nicer. even if we can get sort of some sort of trend starting to form here on the lower time frames as well. So if we take a look at pound yen as well, let's have a look at what's happening with pound yen. This one's retracing at the moment as well. So again, higher time frames. We've got strengths and weakness supporting this. Certainly the strength in sterling. The yen has sort of weakened off a little bit, or strengthened up a little bit as the morning's progressed, I should say. So we're starting to see some nice trends forming here on this market. The pound yen also looking on the daily time frame, looking sort of very nice as well, taking out and confirming that sort of 144 level. Again, if we come down to some of the lower time frames, we've had the retest of this sort of level, and now so it's really finding some sort of setup, some sort of opportunity in here. The sort of thing I was looking at on this, this is the 1 hour chart. I was looking at this sort of range where the market is at the moment. You can see that we've sort of had all of this sort of resistance up here, recently. Then we've had the test of the low. Then we've had the resistance tested again, and now the market's just sort of trying to get above it. So my preference really would be for some kind of setup above here, waiting for the market to confirm a breakout of this level. Okay, Andrew, we'll take a look at the Euro AUD from the now pound yen was one of the ones to keep an eye on from a swing play last night. So with this one, the setup on the 4 hour time frame wasn't the sort of easiest. So some people might have taken that. The 8 hour, gave us a bigger candle. So we got the in up here, and that's still in. So from a swing perspective, the pound yen is still in. Let's have a look at the euro now. So Euro AUD, again, the setup here on the 4 hour time frame, you can see that the market's just sort of grinding sideways on this one at the moment. So we just continued in that sort of sideways range. Predominant trend clearly to the short side, and market's still looking weak. Now the euro and the Aussie. The Aussie's been switching from strong to weak this morning, and now it's probably sort of in that very indecisive camp at the moment. It's not nothing really. It's not sort of one way, overwhelmingly strong or overwhelmingly weak. Similar with the euro, that's sort of looking fairly neutral at the moment as well. So if you're positioned in this one, then looking good. We'll leave that one going. Okay. So what else have we got? What else have we got moving this morning? Now, these markets, they've been very switchable lately, as we know. So it's good to sort of keep some of the, to keep an eye on some of these trends. I mean, this move that we just seen in the euro, in the dollar this morning, is a lot of these markets have really turned around. So the move in the euro has actually come right the way back. Let me just see what the impact is across the board here. Okay. So this is where I'd normally be getting Fergal to let me know what's going on the news wires, as I've got mine muted so we don't get interfered. Okay, so I can't see anything on the dashboard. So what we're seeing at the moment, again, we'll have a look at euro dollar. So euro dollar, we haven't covered euro dollar specifically yet, but if we have a look at this, this is coming back. This is what I'm talking about. The move here that we've seen this morning in the strength in the dollar, the weakness in the dollar, allowing the strength in the euro here, has sort of completely reversed. It's come right the way back into this sort of consolidation sort of zone. Now that's coming across the board here on all the dollar markets. So I was looking to see if we've got some others which were looking fairly interesting. So that dollar CAD that we spoke about earlier, that's coming right the way back into, I know it's looking very messy. Let's clean this up a little bit. Coming right the way back into this sort of area at the moment, this sort of zone at the moment. Doesn't look particularly... And the dollar Swiss, let's have a look at that Swissy. So the dollar Swiss looks somewhat more cleaner, I think. And it's coming fairly close. So we have a sort of pivot point areas around here. Which actually ties up quite nicely with a 61.8% retracement level of this move in the market. So that's a nice area here to look for a lower high, if you can see that. Now let's just take a look at this on the bigger picture. Okay, so 89,200 on the Swissy is, we've got quite a specific level here around, let me, if I can get up to the 4-hour time frame, you can see. So you can see this sort of high level here. It's around sort of 89, sort of 20, 89,200. So with markets pulling back into that at the moment. So we've got these two levels here. My preference is, if we're going to take a rebound, for any rebound setup, my preference would be for a stop to be above this. This is looking quite sharp at the moment as well. So the other way to play this, which might be a little bit more conservative, is to wait for the market to set up a trigger candle around this area. So we've got a bundle of analysis coming in here: moving average zone, the fair value zone, the 61.8 retracement level, and also pivot clusters as well. So quite a bit going on there. So I think that's one of the nicer ones to keep on that, keep close on that sort of watch list at the moment. let's have a look at how the retracement is coming here on sterling on cable. So, well, if we did get a retracement into the back into the top end of this level, that would be a nice, been quite a bit going on there, which is looking quite nice. Doesn't look like we're going to get that sort of amount of weakness at the moment. So we're just looking across the board at the moment to see what else we've got. What else we've got setting up. I think one of the other trends here, which is often markets are often overlooked, is the Aussie against the Kiwi. These markets look in sort of some of the best and some of the smoothest trends out there at the moment. So I think this one's certainly a good one to keep an eye on. We need to be a little bit aware of this sort of zone up the top end here. The only sort of concern really for me on this, if we come down to those sort of lower time frames, market structure is not looking too bad at all. So that's another one. It's got strengths and weakness well, it did have this morning, because the morning's progressing, that Aussie is looking more weaker. Okay, so what else have we got going on here? So a lot of those Aussie markets have actually slipped back. The similar that we had, let's just have a look. One last one here. The Swiss yen was another one that I had picked up on the watch list this morning. This had strengths and weakness supporting it too. Though the Swissy still very strong, the yen is also sort of strengthened as the sort of morning's progressed. You can see that here on the, let's just come up to the sort of higher time frames. You can see that the market is kind of breaking out of this without even putting a line in there. You can see that there's a range through here of highs that the market is just sort of breaking out. It's just sort of pulled back into the top end of that. Here on the 4-hour time frame. If we come down the time frames, you can start to see that we've got trends forming as well. We've had the push out, the pull back into it here. So again, getting above here, it just really does open this up. You know, we'll be breaking out of a longer term range, higher time frame range, and does open this up for a bit of a move to the long side, which I quite like. So again, lower time frames, you can see the breakout and the pullback, and now we'll see whether this has actually got any legs to go. My preference really, as this is such a higher time frame range, as you can see here, I prefer to see some sort of setup above the level. So waiting for that sort of extra bit of confirmation. But this is another one that I've got on my watch list this morning. Again, it's sort of taken advantage of that strength in the Swissy that we've seen in recent days. Okay. The just a last look now at dollar yen. So that pull back into the level here, which is looking sort of quite nice, that 104.50 area. So again, if we're going to see a continuation of this trend from a technical perspective, this is looking sort of quite nice as an area to start looking for weakness. And again, looking at this, because there is a trading window here. If we come and just remind ourselves on the bigger picture here, we've got a trading window through down to that sort of 104 area, as you can see through here. So plenty of distance to the short side, and again, sort of further rejection here does sort of open this up for a continuation short down to around that sort of 104 area. So there's a few here, quite a few actually, to keep an eye on. Okay, so I think that's giving us a bit of a flavour of this morning. Because of the strength that's sort of being pushed around in some of these markets at the moment, my preference is just to wait for that extra bit of confirmation before sort of stepping into these markets, because they can be very changeable, as we know. Okay, everybody, let's start to wrap it up here, and we'll keep an eye on these markets. Quite a few here to keep an eye on for setups, but I'll post anything that I'm seeing in the trading room. Again, if you're seeing anything, post it in there as well. Okay, hope you found it useful, and I'll speak to you a little bit later. Okay, everybody. Okay, thanks for now, and speak to you soon. Bye for now.